This video is brought to you by Aster Gold, trading on the TSXV under AST and on the OTC under ATRGF. Aster Gold has a 100% stake in one of the largest and highest grade undeveloped gold deposits in Europe, the Salave Gold Project. This advanced staged gold asset has an NI 43-101 compliant resource of 2 million ounces in a safe jurisdiction located in northwest Spain. Aster Gold has overwhelming local community support for the mine and just received news that their permit has been approved. This will put Aster Gold on course to begin production by the end of 2014. To learn more about this golden opportunity, please visit astergold.com or call 604-694-1600.
Hello, and thank you for joining me at FutureMoneyTrends.com. I'm here with legendary investor Jim Rogers, also author of Gift to My Children. Thanks, Jim, for joining me today.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Jim, I got a couple questions about 2013. A lot of talk about the fiscal cliff. The presidential campaign was over, and it was all about the fiscal cliff. Any thoughts on where you see this going and how you see it ending?
I don't really very much talk about fiscal cliff at all in the campaign. What I know, most of them avoided it, but it's certainly coming up now, and we have to do something about it, or somebody has to do something about it. What will happen is they will announce some kind of supplement, which will, of course, be fraudulent, a scam, just like they all are, and you will see the market will probably rally for a while, whether it's an hour or a day or a year, I don't know. And then we'll be faced with the same problem because they're not cutting spending nearly enough. And even if they do raise taxes, it's not going to solve our problem. We have serious problems facing us.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. The market seems to always respond to just whatever current news is going on, whether it's the fiscal cliff, the election, QE. When do you think the market's going to really respond to what's really going on with this debt that we have going, just stacked up against us?
Well, sometime in 2013, 2014, certainly by the fall of 2013, if not before, these problems are going to be too much for us, for the market to understand, or to handle, because the debts keep going higher and higher. There is a German election in 2013, and the Germans will do everything they can to hold things together to get through the election. But certainly after that election, I think we're all going to be in very, very serious trouble. And probably before the German election, but certainly after.
It's very interesting. How do you think the metals are going to respond to all this? Do you think we'll see a major response in gold and silver and maybe some of the other commodities?
Well, eventually, yes. It depends on when this happens and how it happens. I own gold and silver. I'm not buying them now. Gold has been up 12 years in a row, which is extremely unusual. Gold has had only one 35% correction in the last 12 years, which is even more unusual. So I'm not buying right now. A lot of speculators have piled in. Lots of people buying calls on gold. So I'm just watching. But when things get really seriously bad and the government starts printing a lot more money, you're going to see people flee to real assets, whether it's rice or silver, whatever it happens to be.
Are you optimistic at all about U.S. real estate? I mean, rates are low. Conventionally, everyone's saying it's a good time.
Well, no, because, yes and no. If you can lock in and you can pay the price, okay, but what will normally happen is when the inflation goes higher and interest rates go much, much higher over the next few years, even if you don't have to worry about your mortgage or your property, many of your neighbors will have serious problems because interest rates will be going higher and higher and higher. If you can go through that and come out the other side, then fine, you'll be okay. But usually, when interest rates go very high, real estate eventually gets whacked as well. Now, if you buy real estate, if you're talking about farmland or timberland or something like that, then sure, you can probably buy it and be okay. But it's got to be very productive and very cash flow positive.
Sure, sure. Who do you see prospering? I mean, any countries in particular that, obviously you don't live in the United States. For Americans to get out of their typical bubble, being in the United States of America, it's hard to leave that and to get out and, make a move like you did. What countries would you see being a good place to live over the next 10 or 20 years?
Well, first of all, I'm not so sure it's that difficult. Every American unless they happen to be an American Indian, their forebears left somewhere and came to America,
sure,
and then decided to once they got there. So it's not that hard. It wouldn't be America if that were the case. And something like 10% of Americans now, I should take that back. More than 10% of Americans now were born in foreign countries. So it's not that difficult. I agree it's not easy, but it can be done. I'm not suggesting people do it. It's a very intense and personal decision to move anywhere, much less to a new country. There are many countries that got good things going for them. Myanmar, I'm very bullish about. North Korea, I'm bullish about. Angola in Africa, Tanzania, Ethiopia, even Russia. To my astonishment, I'm getting optimistic about Russia.
Wow.
I'm not going to move to Russia or Angola, but there are places that have much better prospects going forward.
Sure. Wow, that's really interesting. What about taxes? I mean, in other countries, for years, U.S. has been like the free market. That was the image of free market, but we're finding that it's really not the case. What are some of the most tax-friendliest countries out there?
Well, if you're an American citizen, there's no such thing as a tax-friendly country. I'm an American citizen, so if I lived on the moon, I'd have to pay American taxes. So if you're talking about Americans, there's no such thing as a tax-friendly country because you are liable for American taxes no matter where you live. However, there are countries that have low tax rates if you're not an American citizen. In fact, America is one of the very, very, very few countries in the world which taxes you, even if you don't live in America. If you live in most countries, if you're a citizen of most countries and you live somewhere else and earn your living somewhere else, you don't pay taxes where you have your passport, which makes sense, of course. Why should you pay taxes if you're not getting anything from any services or use of the country where you have your passport? But having said that, Singapore, where I live, has low taxes for people who are citizens of other countries. Monaco in Europe has low taxes. Some of the countries have very low tax rates. Hong Kong has low tax rates. You just have to do some homework and look around. But there are countries. But if you're an American, it doesn't matter.
And Jim, one last question. In a past interview you did, you talked about agriculture being one of your favorite investments going into the future. Any specific aspects in the industry of agriculture that you like?
Well, it would depend on where you are and what your knowledge and your interests are. Some agricultural prices are very, very low. Orange juice is down about 70% from its all-time high, but you're not going to be very successful at raising oranges in Alberta, in Canada. Likewise, things like sugar are extremely cheap, but you're not going to raise much sugar in Finland, I don't think. It would just depend on what you know, where you live, what the soil can handle. There's a lot of tobacco in Cuba, but you're not going to raise much tobacco in Japan. It just depends on the country, the soil, and the conditions, and what you're interested in. But all agriculture, I'm extremely optimistic about all agriculture in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Jim, it was a pleasure talking with you. If someone would like to reach out to you and learn more information about you, where would they go?
Well, my website is www.jimrogers.com. There's not much there. My books are there. My trip around the world is there. My speaking schedule is there. But I don't really, I don't have much to sell to anybody, so that's really just more for information than anything else.
Well, thanks a lot, Jim.
Thank you. Anytime. Let's do it again.